break the stigma about mental health and talking about it. It's very important to have that dialogue with as many people as you can, because if we don't learn to heal the wounds in the past, we bleed all over the future. This was it for me. This is what I was looking for many, many years. Shane, you're part of the crew too, brother.
Thank you. So, do you want to tell me a bit about, your upbringing? What was your family like? How did you grow up? Where did you grow up?
I was born in the early 60s. I was actually born in 1961. I was the youngest of 8 kids, and had a really good upbringing, to be honest. One thing I always say when I'm talking to people about my upbringing is that we were actually all equal. And what I mean by that is we all had nothing. We were all the same back then. So it was very few people, even on my street, had a car at that period of time, And it was a very, very happy upbringing. A lot of us played on the streets. There was no phones at the time. We didn't even have a phone. And the time we got a phone actually was when my father got cancer in 1975. We waited 2 years for the phone to be installed, and by the time this phone was installed, he was after passing away,
What was it like for you and your family when your dad had passed?
Me being the youngest was difficult for me regarding I was unable to process my emotions and to really understand what it was about, But my father had passed away from throat cancer, and there's one memory that always sticks with me is when I came home from school, from primary school this day, and he was behind the couch. He was crying, and he just said, "Go on, get out of the room." And when he said that, some of his teeth was actually in his hand. They were after falling out of his mouth, which was the advancements of the throat cancer, But we were fine. As I said, I was the youngest of 8. I didn't really know how to process it, and years later I understood.
How did you kind of come about discovering, your beliefs and this kind of line of work?
Morning, everybody. I'm just going to check the volume on this. Too loud? Yeah, I guess that came in later years, and it came regarding, where I was at the time in my mental and emotional states. I felt that I had enough of this life, and I wanted to take my own life, going back a good few years ago. And I tell the story that I was actually driving down Anglesey Street, and it just came to that point, and I just thought to myself, I've had enough. I can't take this anymore. I was actually going to come home, and I was actually going to take my own life in the very room that we're in. And just at that moment, actually the tears were running down my eyes at the time, in the traffic. I wasn't as confident as I am today. And anybody that's gone through mental issues will understand what I'm talking about. It was a really tough place to be in. So I'd made up my mind at that point that I was going to take my own life that day. I was actually coming home to do it, as I said. But just at that moment, his thoughts, his words popped into my mind. And I said, just when you're at your lowest point, give yourself a little lift up and things will start to change. And I had this vision that I was hanging off a cliff. I pulled myself up and I crawled across the grass, and from that moment on things changed. No, they didn't change overnight. I remember coming home, came in the back door, I went in the front door, and I could hear people in the kitchen laughing and joking. I just went straight up the stairs and I just cried my eyes out. And in that period of time I thought, why would it have to come to a point like this where somebody would want to take their own lives? Surely there's a way around this. And then I started to delve into trying to figure out why it happens, why somebody can be so weakened or feel so broken that they have to take their own lives. And I started to study and delve into therapies, and I did a lot of travelling around the world.
Where did you kind of, travel, and what did you learn from your experiences in travelling?
I suppose going right back, I started plastering when I was 15 and a half years of age, and I was a qualified plasterer on my 19th birthday. And within weeks I had travelled to the UK, and there was a recession on in Ireland at the time. It was 1984, and I went to London on the Slattery's bus, what it was called, from the back of the Metropole Hotel. I think it was 12 pounds one-way ticket, and when I got there, all I had was an address. These people that I was going to didn't even know I was coming. It was a couple of lads from Cork, and it was in East London. And when I got there, they answered the door. I said, "Look, lads, my name is Ger O'Brien. I got your number off such and such a guy." And and they said, come on away, and this was a Sunday evening, and slept on the kitchen floor. One of the loneliest nights of my life, I'll never forget it. And the following morning, they showed me how to use the tubes and that, and I got off. I can't remember the station, but it was where all the embassies were, and I went into this place that was being renovated. It was one of the embassies, and I asked, was there a foreman about? And it just so happened that the guy I asked the question to was the foreman, and I asked him, was he looking for any plasters? And he said, yes, we are, mate. When can you start? I said, straight away. So he said, can you start tomorrow? And I said, yeah. I was delighted, and I said, how much you pay? And he said, £35 a day. Absolute fortune, to be honest with you, to me. So I started the following day. Remember those words, mental and emotional strength, because it's going to become perfectly clear by the end of this presentation where you need to work on this every single day of your life.
And going back to your work as a therapist, would you mind kind of telling me a bit about your process and where how you became about learning this type of work?
Yeah, well, I thankfully the therapy came about me being in the doldrums of despair. That's why I delved into what I'm doing now, and I started to study like it was going out of fashion. And I've been years and years doing this. Even when I was still in the construction, I was coming home of an evening time, and I remember starting off with my first client. He was actually a security man in the builders merchants, and I got talking to him, and I said, look, I'm doing some therapy there, and I need somebody to do a case study on, would you mind? And he said, no, I'd love to. And that was my first client ever. I'll never forget it. And within 5 minutes, this guy had completely opened up, and he started telling me all the traumas that he had been through, and his life. And it was just, I knew instantly at that moment that this is it for me. This is what I need to be doing, There'd be very little emotional issues that we're having today if we were taught about how to process our emotions and release them and just express them and just show how we are as human beings, okay? EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique, otherwise known as tapping. So basically what we do is we tap on acupressure points on the upper body, and we release energy blocks.
What would you say are your own kind of personal beliefs about the world?
Well, my personal beliefs about the world is, number one, we're all connected. We're all one, although we're all different. We're all connected by an energetic silver cord. I believe that everything in life does happen for a reason, even the not so good stuff, and there's golden nuggets of positivity in amongst all the negativity from the experiences that we've endured in our lives. And I believe that everybody should be kind to one another and to live life with a big heart and compassion and understanding for one another. Get out of your mind, quiet the mind.
How do you kind of feel like your work helps people today?
Well, number one, they're reaching out to me for a reason, obviously, and our paths were meant to cross, I honestly believe. But if somebody's not willing to help themselves, nothing's going to change. So I guess when people come to me, first and foremost, when they come in the door, I'll have a brief conversation with them, and then I would say, this flies off the tongue because I've been saying it for so long. Do you want to carry on feeling like this for the rest of your life? Of course, the answer is no, I don't, Ger. Then I say, therefore, will you allow me to help you to help yourself? Because I can and will make a profound difference in your life. But if you don't implement change outside of what we're doing here, if you're not willing to make some sacrifices, then nothing's going to change. And then we shake hands on it. And the handshake is the contract, because the contract to me is I take things very, very serious. It's not about, next, please, next. Everybody that comes in my door, they become a part of my life, and I go over and above to help them to see things differently.
The best years of my life are yet to come. I am beautiful both inside and out, and I love who I am. Lots of love and understanding and support.
Beautiful, beautiful.
So in our kind of conversations between me and you mentioned that you had cancer, and I was wondering if you wouldn't mind kind of sharing your experience with it and how you dealt with it and your story.
Yeah, no problem whatsoever. The day before Christmas Eve 2020, I was diagnosed with advanced prostate cancer, and there was 3 physicians in front of me and my wife, and he said, "We're sorry to tell you, Mr. O'Brien, but that you've got prostate cancer, advanced, and it needs to be operated on ASAP. And as the conversation ensued, I said, I'll have a think about it. And they said, what do you mean you'll have a think about it? And so was my wife saying, what do you mean you'll have a think about it? I said, I'll have a think about it. And he said, look, we know that you're into alternative ways and that, but this has gone too far and this really needs to be operated on as soon as possible. So anyway, when he did say that to me, I'd be honest, I didn't even flinch. And they said, you're taking this very well. And I said, I am. And they said, but how come? Because I said, I'm very, very, very strong, mentally and emotionally especially. So I said, look, you've told me I have prostate cancer, advanced prostate cancer, so I'll have a think about this and we'll see where we go from there, okay? But based on what they had said, I really looked into it that if this gets into my bones or my blood, I'm in trouble, to be honest with you. So I decided to go for the operation. And just to go back regarding how this came about, I didn't have any symptoms whatsoever. And I had gone to the doctor about my knees. I was having problems with my knees. And such was the length of time that I was to the doctor, that my doctor had retired and there was a new doctor there after 10 years. So he said, look, Joe, we'll get your knees checked out, get you x-rays, MRIs or whatever, and that's fine. And literally, I said, thank you very much for that, doctor. And I just got to get up off the seat and I fell back on the seat and the words popped out of my mouth as I made, doctor, would you mind checking my prostate? And still to this day, no idea where those words came from. So he did a prostate check and a couple of days after that went for a biopsy and everything, and this was really fast forwarded, and then they told me the news at the end of that. So I got, this was just, as I said, that was the day before Christmas Eve, so I said, let's not talk about this, we're going to have a fantastic Christmas. Went from there, got operated on. Fast forward, had to go through intense radiotherapy, and when that was 7 weeks every single day. When I was left out of the hospital, after being in there for about a week, they said, look, you have to be very careful for the next 2 months at least not to lift anything heavy. And I said, yeah, no problem. No, I was really gaunt. I was really ill, to be honest with you, even when I came out. I was down about a stone in weight, and when they said, you have to be very careful, don't do any exercises or lift anything, you know, over a couple of pounds in weight for the next 2 months. So that was left out on a Saturday. And I was out here actually lifting an empty barbell on the Monday morning like this, no weight whatsoever, and talking to myself and impressing positivity into my subconscious mind, into my mind, that I'm getting through this, I'm powerfully strong, I can get through anything. And this is the way I was talking to myself. And when I went for the next appointment with the doctors, they literally nearly fell off the chairs when they saw me walking in the door. They said, can't believe how you're looking and your attitude and stuff. And I said, it all comes down to mental and emotional strength. And this is one of the things I talk about in my seminars when I'm giving talks to companies and that. The first thing I'll actually write on a whiteboard is mental and emotional strength. And I say, remember those words, because it'll become perfectly clear at the end of this presentation why you need to work on that every day of your life, in case you're hit by a freight train at some stage. And the freight train for me was, I guess, prostate cancer, but I took it on the chin straight away. But what a lot of people don't know about prostate cancer, and what a lot of people don't talk about was, it was a guy actually said this to me once. I wouldn't talk about this at all, to be honest with you, so I'm really being open and transparent about what I'm about to talk about here, to help as many guys as I possibly can. That is, they don't tell you that when the prostate is removed, that you are unable to get an erection, you're unable to ejaculate. So that's all gone basically. So intimacy is gone, you know. So again, this is where that strength comes in. And if you don't have that strength, then you could end up in a really depressive state and in the doldrums of despair if you're not able to take what has been done to you. Right from the start, I hit the ground running. This is what it is, okay? I'll accept it and move on. And here I am to this day. And does it bother me? And then hand on heart, no, it doesn't. I'm alive, I'm above ground, I'm helping people, I'm very, very strong. Very, very strong in my mind. And just by saying that alone, I hope that I can help as many men as I possibly can And the main thing here is to, guys, get your prostates checked, you know. I was a young man to have been diagnosed with the prostate. Normally comes really in later years, but even younger guys than me can actually get diagnosed with prostate cancer. So if you're a young man watching this, if you don't want to get it done, tell your father to get it done, tell your grandfather to get his prostate checked, and not just the bloods, but to get the internal done is the best way to see whether you've got prostate cancer or not.
How long ago now has it been since you've recovered from prostate cancer?
Well, it's 2020. I was just going into 2021 in January. So it was a slow process, the recovery was. But again, I keep bringing it up, mental and emotional strength. If I didn't have that, it would have taken a long, long time, you know. So then you might think, oh, that's fine, everything is perfect, but it's not, because I'm still going through cancer treatment, and I will be for the rest of my life. So it's never really gone. So I've got to get checked every 2 months at the moment. So some months could be good, my PSA levels could be up or they could be down, and then, you know, there's the possibility that it might, you know, really kick into overdrive again. So I just have to be careful. But do I give it a second thought? And this is the honest to God truth. No, I don't. I live every moment in the now, and that to me is all that matters. To live in every present moment as if it's your last. Live life to the full.